So you don't think
1.5.
Bitcoin's a safe haven then? If World War III breaks out, people won't buy Bitcoin like they'll buy like, I don't know, U.S. Treasuries or whatever.
Bitcoin is a safe haven in some ways, but it's very much a nascent asset, part of a nascent asset class, which is still getting adopted. If World War III or something that level breaks out, I would want to be diversified.
We're talking about latest news and the outlook for Bitcoin and altcoins with Austin and Aaron Arnold, hosts of Altcoin Daily, one of the largest YouTube channels for crypto coverage and news. I follow their channel all the time to get my fix of crypto news. So make sure to follow Altcoin Daily, link in the description down below. We're going to hear from both of them. It's rare we get both of them on the channel at the same time. Make sure to subscribe to their channel and follow their content. Before we hear from them, a word from our sponsor, iTrust Capital, an IRA that offers 35 crypto assets and the lowest trading fees in the crypto IRA space at 1%. If you're over 18 and you want to open a new account with cash or roll over an existing account, click on itrust.capital/David in the link down below to learn more about their unique tax benefits. And if you're considering parking your Bitcoin returns in a safe place, consider an IRA. With Bitcoin rising to new all-time highs, we'll talk about this today. An IRA may be the place to store your Bitcoin. Aaron and Austin, welcome to the show. I think it's the first time I've had both of you on at the same time on my new show. Welcome.
Thank you, David. Honored to be here. You've been on our channel before, but yeah, I can't wait to have a crypto conversation.
Right. I just want to say I follow you too for the daily market updates on everything finance, and it's great to be covering with you crypto. It's great to be covering crypto with you today. It's going to be a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the Arnold brothers following in terms of crypto news? That is the theme of our conversation today. But first, I want to bring this to your attention. Bitcoin has reached new all-time highs. You cover this a lot in your show. It doesn't seem that there's as much interest in the general public and actually on mainstream media as 2 years ago. If you look at Google Trends, I brought this to the attention of Ron Neuner the other day when I talked to Ron the other day. Google Trends, you look up the word crypto worldwide, it's at 35. The index level is currently around 30 to 35. 2 years ago in 2021, that index level was 100. And so it peaked in 2021, and now it's at 35% of the interest in terms of search volume, even though the price of Bitcoin is higher than it was 2 years ago, where it briefly surpassed the previous all-time high. But just generally speaking, you cover cryptos all the time. Every single day you talk to experts. What is the sentiment you're feeling? Why is there not as much hype now as 2 years ago? Is that an accurate statement? I'll let anyone take this answer first.
David, I think that is spot on. As you know, there is a renewed interest, but it's nowhere near the hype of what we saw in 2021. When we started our channel 6 years ago, and certainly before that, that was really retail's opportunity to get into Bitcoin before Wall Street. And they had about 13, 14 years in total. Maybe you can put up a chart of something well-known in finance or technology called the technology adoption cycle. And there's a certain chasm that all technologies have to cross before they get integrated into before they're here to stay forever. And in my opinion, Bitcoin has crossed that chasm and it's here to stay. So, retail can no longer front run Wall Street because, the reason we're not seeing, Bitcoin booming in the Google search trends is because this price rally has been largely fueled by the ETF and Wall Street and institutions getting in for real this time. Now, it's good news for your audience out there. It's not just Bitcoin anymore. There's Ethereum, there's gaming, there's DeFi, there's all sorts of things in crypto that has not crossed that technology chasm. And of course, there's more risk and more reward in that. But to answer your question in brief, Wall Street is here, institutions are here, and that's what has caused Bitcoin to rally from basically 30,000 to 70,000.
Okay, I'll let you jump in, Austin. Do you think that retail interest has not yet peaked?
I think that Bitcoin hit new all-time highs this year without retail being here yet. So we have yet to see retail, like my brother said. The reason that Bitcoin hit its all-time high is because institutions are buying through the ETFs. That's a fact. On any given week, we're seeing 10 to 15 times more demand in terms of the institutions buying Bitcoin than the amount of Bitcoin that is minted into existence through the mining. So any given week, demand is outstripping supply, and that's before retail. Now, month to month to month. The ETF started in January, then February and March. We've consistently seen higher volumes every single month. So this demand is not waning. It's only given bigger, at least in these first 3 months. And again, that's before retail.
Okay. You guys published an article, or not an article, a video rather, 3 months until Bitcoin price explodes to 150K. This was published on the 18th of March. Walk us through your outlook for Bitcoin. You highlighted several other people's outlooks, including Kathy Wood. You tweeted prices are down, yet activity is up. This pre-halving consolidation is healthy. You're talking about this pullback we've seen since $70,000 over $73,000. So are we going to get 150,000 in 3 months? What's your take?
150,000 in 3 months. It's not out of the question. I'd say don't hold me to that, though. That was the title of the video, and in the detail, we can get more details than the 50 characters in the title.
Sure.
But, you know, a lot of people are wondering right now, why is Bitcoin crashing? Why is Bitcoin going down? Bitcoin's down by 15, 17, almost 20%, not even 20% since the all-time high a week or so ago. Important to note, Bitcoin is up 50% still in 2024 and up 300% since the 2022 lows. But the reason I say, you know, 150K is a number people are throwing out there. I think Bitcoin's going to be a lot higher in the next 3 to 6 months. My personal thoughts is that Bitcoin's going to keep kind of rallying into the November elections and possibly after a consolidation period, go even higher in 2025. It's just simple supply and demand. And look no further than the biggest institutions going on TV all the time and saying this, that the ETFs soaking up a lot of the Bitcoin supply, more than, you know, it's the most successful ETF launch in ETF history. You cannot print any more Bitcoin. With every other commodity, they always create more when there's more demand. With Bitcoin, that is impossible. And not only that, the supply flow gets cut in half in less than a month now. So, and it's not just the ETFs. MicroStrategy continues to buy. Right. Bitcoin is still being used as a remittance asset all across the world. There's more Bitcoin holders in America and throughout the world now than at any other time in history. I mean, I don't know if it's as much as the peak of 2021, but certainly it's near the highest it's ever been. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, oh, Bitcoin, there's a triple top happening now. Bitcoin kind of had that double top in 2021, and now Bitcoin's new all-time high is a triple top. I think that is a misnomer. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised where Bitcoin's price is 3 to 6 months from now.
Austin, here's my challenge to what your brother just said, and please, you know, challenge me if you disagree. Ethereum, take a look at Ethereum, right? Post-merge, everyone was talking about how the supply was going to get burned, and it did. Everyone was talking about how demand-supply fundamentals are going to be great because a lot of applications are going to be built on ETH. It's a network, it's a program, it's a new internet, so to speak. And look at the price. It collapsed and stayed flat, only recently rallied along with every other meme coin, or altcoin rather. So it doesn't, my argument here is that it doesn't really matter what the demand-supply fundamentals are, because just take a look at what happened to ETH post-merge. Nothing happened to the price. How would you respond to that?
I would say for ETH, well, number one, this Bitcoin bull run we're seeing, it's a Bitcoin bull run. Altcoin season largely hasn't started yet, even though Solana, other altcoins have sort of bounced out from the pack. But this is how the cycles work. You know, Bitcoin is that ocean, and as that ocean rises, it tends to raise all ships. But again, we're seeing institutional demand. So Bitcoin is the news today. Speaking of Ethereum's tokenomics, though, and supply and demand, Ethereum is deflationary because of the merge, because of EIP 15 or EIP 15, whatever 15. That
59, something like that.
Because of the latest Ethereum upgrades. Fact check me, audience. Ethereum is deflationary. That is something we did not see last cycle. It wasn't a thing in 2021. But when I say deflationary, if nobody uses the Ethereum network, then, you know, Ethereum has an unlimited supply. There'll be an unlimited amount of Ethereum, but as the more demand goes on the network because of these upgrades, a certain percent of the fee is burned. And we're seeing so much activity right now on Ethereum that the supply is deflationary. So in many ways, the headline has been Bitcoin and the mining and the supply demand, but Ethereum is right there with it.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to jump in. You know, since the Ethereum started its transition to the merge, and I can't remember when it actually got finalized, but this was started in 2020 and then got finalized in 2021. I believe Ethereum is up a little bit still. Now, versus Bitcoin, you're right, it's kind of been lagging. Bitcoin's so bullish because the supply flow gets cut in half every 4 years. As you said, it's deflationary. The supply of Ethereum is actually decreasing. Why isn't the price up? I would say generally that, I think the price is going to catch up eventually. Ethereum had some massively, bearish news today a little bit. It's apparently, and this is a developing story, it's getting the Ethereum Foundation, the foundation largely responsible for Ethereum development, is getting investigated by state agencies, government agencies. And if reports are true, the SEC has sent subpoenas to 3 US businesses requesting information on their interactions with the Ethereum Foundation. At the same time, though, we're seeing BlackRock launching a tokenized asset fund on Ethereum rails, seeding it with 100 million USDC stablecoin. I personally think Ethereum is undervalued. I think a lot of people are projecting bearish Ethereumness right now. It kind of happens every cycle in that Bitcoin always leads the market, and then you always get the Bitcoin-only people saying, just Bitcoin now. And certainly this is a Bitcoin rally. But I think there's a lot of reason to be bullish on Ethereum because of the supply and demand dynamics. And also consider this, the SEC continues to be ambiguous whether the Ethereum ETF gets approved in May. I think there's not likely to get approved in May, but I think it's inevitable. They're going to approve the Ethereum ETF at some point for the same reasons they approved the Bitcoin ETF, not to mention their spot Ethereum ETFs in Canada, in Europe. And, here's the thing, when it's pretty common for Wall Street to kind of project fear, uncertainty, and doubt about assets that they're buying. And this is just speculation, but what did we see with Larry Fink for the years prior before BlackRock launched their Bitcoin ETF? He'd go on TV semi-regularly and say there is no interest for a Bitcoin product. There's zero interest, was his literal quote. And we've seen similar things with George Soros. When George Soros wanted when George Soros wanted to basically corner the copper market, he didn't go out and say I'm buying copper. He went out and say I'm selling copper, and then he made a big buy when the prices are down. I think there's a lot of reason to be bullish on Ethereum.
You actually tweeted a recent news article event came out. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, creating tokenized assets based on Ethereum. I think you were alluding to this earlier. So I'll just read a paragraph from this CoinDesk article here. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said in an interview earlier that the company's filings for spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs were stepping stones toward tokenization. So what's this next step? What does this mean for the markets?
I'll jump in and then Austin can cover it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, this is all around, like BlackRock is using Ethereum for its utility as intended. In my personal opinion, I don't think this is a direct correlation to the Ethereum spot ETFs getting approved. It's a big unknown whether they get approved in May. Like I said, they're going to get approved eventually. But BlackRock, right before they launched their Bitcoin ETF, and just right before, finally started saying that we want to tokenize the world. We want to be able to know every buyer and seller on a public ledger and be able to trade 24/7. And that's basically what he's using Ethereum for. So it's interesting to see that Ethereum is because there's a lot of crypto projects that maybe could even serve better for the rails than Ethereum. There's Algorand, there's Solana. I think this shows us though that Ethereum is the choice for institutions when it comes to building on top of the chains.
Yeah, the world is being tokenized. The biggest haters in crypto say that. The biggest lovers in crypto say that. Peter Schiff admits it. Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan admits that it will be tokenized. Now, he'll still go out and say, I hate Bitcoin, I hate Ethereum. But JP Morgan is building on Ethereum a permissioned, controlled private ledger, still built on Ethereum. So how that world gets tokenized, it's still up in the air, anybody's debate. But right now, Ethereum, and maybe you could say Solana next, are the biggest games in town to be able to do it. And even, I'll remind you, EOS, it's a cryptocurrency from back in 2017. They got sued by the SEC for an unregistered security. They won. They said, oh, the ICO, you were offering an unregistered security, but EOS as a blockchain was fine. So it's muddy waters. It's unclear how you do it. But the SEC has shown that if you come and you pay the piper, they'll let you through. And no matter if it's private or public or where is it, the world is being tokenized.
Okay, and when you say tokenization, that's of all real world assets, where as many as possible. I mean, are there benefits to doing this? I mean, why do we need to do this? Is basically my question.
More efficient, more global, easier to transact. For example, why does the stock market have to close at 5 o'clock or whenever it does every day? That's antiquated. I understand why in the 80s they would have to do that, but now the markets are global. Or if you're selling your house, a deed, you're doing that on antiquated pieces of paper, getting certified, which works. That's the best system we have. But if it was verifiable on a blockchain, it's just so much easier to transact and send and verify that I own what I say I own.
And which protocols will most likely benefit from this tokenization trend?
I think we're seeing it on Ethereum. JP Morgan is building a private chain on Ethereum, using it. And then, it's a very much up in the air. Bitcoin has no competition in terms of store of value. Bitcoin is it. The institutions see that. Ethereum has Solana, Cardano, Algorand, VeChain, a lot of these proof of stake layer one blockchains vying for leadership. Right now, it's Ethereum and Solana.
Aaron, I want to go back to our previous statements. Let's go back to the markets. You made a previous statement. You said that the altcoin market hasn't really, the altcoin rally hasn't really started yet. This is very much a Bitcoin oriented rally. I just want to ask you what you mean by that. I mean, Ethereum's up about 50% over the last 4 weeks or so. A lot of meme coins are up. In fact, meme coin mania is kind of the trend on Twitter right now. Even Solana just skyrocketed over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I'm just naming things off the top of my head, but you can go on and on and on. So what criteria are you looking at that hasn't been met yet in terms of definitively saying an altcoin rally is here?
Yeah, certainly there's more to the story because, there's a lot of reason to define the last 6 months of bull market as a Bitcoin-led rally. However, and we've certainly been keeping our audience well informed on this, tons of opportunity in altcoins. And altcoins, meme coins, really have been rallying. However, and so it's not like there's no opportunity. However, here's the thing. Typically in bull markets, we usually see there's a certain point where Bitcoin dominance just drops. This is usually when retail comes into the market. And this doesn't mean Bitcoin's price drops. In fact, oftentimes Bitcoin's price keeps increasing. It just means tons of money are flowing into altcoins, making Bitcoin less dominant versus the entire cryptocurrency market. And we just haven't seen that yet. And that's really historically, people joke around altcoin season. That's typically when altcoin season happens. And guess what? We don't usually see that till Bitcoin breaks all-time highs. Bitcoin just broke all-time highs before the halving, which was also something very new. But that's really what we mean. So there has been tons of opportunity in altcoins. There's the meme coins we're pumping, but also coins with real utility like Injective and Chainlink and different ones like that. But if you take a look at the history of the markets, the real altcoin season has yet to happen.
Okay. Just on that note, Solana has been pumping. It's up like 100% since January. Yeah, since February, mostly because of meme coins being built on Solana. What's your take on this price action of Solana? Sustainable or not?
Solana has been pumping hard. I would, there is always going to be volatility and pullbacks. So not to comment on where Solana is going tomorrow or next week, but as far as in the broader context of this cycle, I think Solana could go higher.
Okay.
Solana is kind of being deemed as the alternative L1 in the Western world after Ethereum. We've seen Shopify Pay integrate with them. We're seeing USDC. I think they were the first ones after Ethereum USDC stablecoin integrated rails on Solana, and since they've expanded to multi-chain. But Solana has a lot going for it. And, the fact that Solana is so cheap and easy to deploy is why we're seeing tons of projects build on Solana. Solana's tech is better today than it was last bull cycle, and it's going to get better with this Fire Dancer upgrade coming up. I would say that, as the more fees, like the harder it is for an average person to use Ethereum, the more alternative L1s will be valued. Ethereum just had a big upgrade, the Den-Kun upgrade. Didn't make fees on the base layer cheaper, but Ethereum layer 2s, like the base chain, the Arbitrum chain, the Starknet chain, the Optimism chain, all significantly cheaper. So we'll have to see if some of that volume and usership moves over to L2s. L2s have never been used more, many of them, since that update went live just a week or so ago. But Solana really isn't going away, and I think in the broader context of the cycle, Solana is going to be higher.
Austin, let's pivot to major themes of this year. So the Bitcoin ETF was hyped for like a year. It was everything that everyone was looking forward to. It was like, the thing to look out for and anticipate. It's happened. What's next? We talked about tokenization being a trend. Any other specific events you're looking out for that you're really excited about on the horizon for cryptos?
Biggest trends in crypto besides Bitcoin, I would say gaming has always been a huge one. AI, especially this cycle, artificial intelligence, always been a big one. DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, it's bigger now than it has more than ever, but just to focus on AI, because I think AI is going to continue to be a huge trend in this cycle. As we're seeing all these major announcements from traditional AI companies, have nothing to do with crypto, make huge announcements, people want to try and understand where the crypto component fit in. So a big way crypto can benefit AI is just not repeating the same mistakes that we made with all our traditional Web 2 companies like Amazon, Facebook, Google. Nothing is more centralized. Nothing is more permissioned or controlled. Are we making those same mistakes with AI? Time will tell. But there's protocols building today that decentralize the marketplace for machine learning. They decentralize how different projects can trade and learn and grow together. So that's the hope. So AI coins popped off after the SOAR announcement happened. Just from a narrative perspective, because in a lot of ways markets are narrative based, I think we're getting AI announcements for the rest of the year into next year. I think AI is going to be huge.
AI-based coins, Render being one of them. What's your take on these coins? Is there any substance to this, or is this just another fad?
I think it's 70 to 80% fad. And then we're hoping for that 20 to 30% actual substance. One of these will make it in the end. There are plenty of AI coins that are just, going off the hype. For me personally, Bitcoin for me personally is the only coin I would feel comfortable holding for 10 years. All these altcoins, especially if you get low cap, for me, you eventually want to cycle out, take profits in Bitcoin or in cash. But AI is hype, but there is substance in there, and the innovation will happen.
Yeah. The Bitcoin dominance you brought up, I think, Aaron, you talked about this earlier. It's at 54% right now. It's been climbing ever since last year, but keep in mind that historically speaking, this is still a pretty low percentage, right? It was at 71% in February 2021, and of course, before altcoins were actually a thing, it was like 99% of the whole market. So going forward, what's a realistic expectation of Bitcoin dominance? What can we expect Bitcoin to occupy in terms of market cap for the overall crypto space in the future? What's sustainable for you think?
Great question. I can't really say what Bitcoin dominance is going to hit this cycle. I will say, and nobody knows the future. If any of us did, we'd all be rich. I don't think Bitcoin dominance is going to get back to its all-time highs of the past. In the past, when that happened, in my opinion, and a lot of people who have been in crypto, note this, the altcoins of the past were crap. All promises, no substance. And while there's still a lot of hype in the market today, never before, in my opinion, have we actually seen altcoins with good tokenomics, making real partnerships, doing real things in the world with real usership. And it's never been easier to create an altcoin, and there's never been more plumbing for people to get onboarded into Bitcoin and crypto at large. So I don't think Bitcoin dominance ever gets back to its all-time highs. It could go higher before it goes lower. But there's so much legitimacy in the market right now. We've talked about Solana. We talked about a few different things. Chainlink working with Swift to transfer financial data all across the world between financial institutions, also working with the Depository Trust and Clearinghouse in the United States. They're basically the securities clearance house that basically clears all securities in the United States. And Chainlink is directly working with them, not just, maybe they will, they are. Not to mention the gaming projects and just so much more. Decentralized physical infrastructure, Austin named that one in a trend that he's bullish on. I agree. Decentralized physical infrastructure. DePIN, we've seen projects like this before, but finally they have a name and a category for it. Helium is the big example from 2021, and they're still around today. It's basically bootstrapping the network with a physical piece of infrastructure, of course, but basically it's less capital for companies to put up at the beginning. And if these projects do end up doing well, the people who are like bootstrapping the network get rewarded with tokens.
Okay. Austin, what is the future of digital payments? Is it layer twos on Bitcoin? Is it a stable coin? Is it a combination of those two? Is it another protocol that people aren't talking about as much? If we were to transact using cryptos or some sort of blockchain technology in the future, what would that future look like?
David, I'm going to say something that might be considered controversial.
Okay.
I don't want to spend my Bitcoin. Okay. I want to save my Bitcoin. It's an investable asset to me. It's a store of value. I think the narrative that Bitcoin was, its best use case was for payments, which was most prevalent in 2017, 2016. Absolutely. You don't want to be sending something that isn't first a store of value. But I think, to answer your question, stablecoins are only going to grow in adoption. We're seeing third world countries or just poorer countries out there not choose to transact in Bitcoin. They're transacting with stablecoins. That gives them global liquidity, that gives them access to the bigger markets. But Bitcoin is being adopted for a whole different reason, store of value.
Let me frame this question differently. Suppose the banks that you and I use, Chase Manhattan or TD Bank, whatever the case may be, suppose they were to dramatically improve their infrastructure and technology such that I could send you money from anywhere in the world with very little, if no cost, instantly, which is basically what blockchain allows us to do right now. If that technology exists from traditional banking, would there still be a need for stable coins?
I think stablecoins using blockchain is just a more efficient way to transfer the money.
Okay.
It's more verifiable. It's more efficient. Now, stablecoins are the total opposite of Bitcoin. They're permissioned. They're centralized. Nothing can more. It can be so much more easily controlled and inflated away, printed more of than traditional money. So I think banks are jonesing at the bit to get stablecoins. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, final segment of our conversation. You are called Altcoin Daily, so we can't leave the conversation without talking about altcoins in a bit more detail. So the altcoin rally hasn't started yet. Two-part question. I'll let whoever wants to take this question first. What would prompt this new renewed rally or interest in the altcoin sector beyond what we've already seen in certain coins? And two, which altcoins do you think, I mean, you don't have to give specific names, but what kinds of altcoins do you think will most likely benefit from this next rally?
What we're going to see before these altcoins rally to Valhalla, before we have the alt season, we're going to see a couple different things. And we're already seeing this. This is already playing out. This is something I thought 6 months ago. We're already seeing this play out. Bitcoin just broke all-time highs. That usually tends to happen before. After that, whenever Bitcoin makes its next leg up, with Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe even Solana's been rallying hard, whatever these like blue chip crypto projects are, the people who invested in them when they were watching our channel and your channel back in 2022, 2023, they're going to start feeling a wealth effect. They're going to, no, well, maybe Bitcoin could 5x, maybe it can just 2x or 3x, maybe Ethereum could 5x, but I follow the market every day, and these other protocols, they're going to give me more gains. So that's going to be one thing. And we're going to continue to see altcoins popping off, making news. Number two is retail comes back in. And again, that has to happen after Bitcoin breaks all-time highs. You're seeing it, David. The mainstream media cannot stop talking about these ETFs, cannot stop talking about Bitcoin and these all-time highs.
Yeah.
We're on your channel today talking about it, and it's just going to cause more people to get interested. And so, we're going to see different crypto terms on Google search trends see an uptick. We're going to see different people you never thought at all talking about cryptocurrency on social media and such, celebrities, and that's playing out, and it's just going to ramp up. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but here's the thing, David. Normally, historically, it only takes 9 to 11 months after Bitcoin breaks all-time highs before we see the eventual cycle top. And that's when the biggest explosion of Bitcoin gains are made. Now, this cycle is different. There's such a meme in markets in general. This time's different. This time is different. If you're just looking at price charts to try and figure out the price Bitcoin ends up at the top of this cycle, I think that's short-sighted. We're literally seeing a technological and monetary revolution. As the world only trends more digital, Bitcoin and crypto is getting adopted. Bitcoin is the new digital gold. People like us, yeah, you can hold some gold, but we don't like gold. People are using Bitcoin as their new gold and digital collectibles rather than physical collectibles in their house. When I used to, invite people over when I was a little kid, maybe they'd see a baseball card I had, maybe 10, 20 people throughout the whole year, my friends. Now, if I have a digital collectible, hundreds, thousands of people can see it, and the world is only trending more digital.
Austin, what is the market top for you? Just riffing off what your brother just said. So it hasn't started yet. At what point do you think to yourself, all right, that's enough hype. It's time to take profits. I'll give you one example here. I was talking to Ron Norner the other day. He said his problem is right now retaining staff because a lot of his staff that are earning a couple $1,000s a month, they put them in meme coins and they're literally now millionaires overnight. And so he's like, how do I keep them from leaving their jobs because they're like literal millionaires because they're buying like with coin, like dog with hat. So, is that a market? I told him, if that's not a market top signal, I don't know what is. What's your take?
I think the market tops when Bitcoin tops. It's
Okay.
all dependent on Bitcoin, these cycles, the halvings, the 4-year cycles, the halvings lead to that. Now, David, if we're seeing just from an institutional level today, on a weekly basis, week after week after week, BlackRock and these ETFs buying anywhere from 10 to 15 times more Bitcoin than the demand being mined into existence, 10 to 15x. Where does that put Bitcoin in 12 months? Let's be realistic. That's maybe not sustainable. We just started, even though we're 3 months in. This isn't a first week thing. This is a 3-month thing. But let's take that down to maybe it levels off to 3x, right? That's 5x lower from where we are today, but realistic. 3x based on the amount of Bitcoin being mined into existence today, a 3x. Mm-hmm. Where would that put Bitcoin?
Okay.
Now keep in mind, the Bitcoin halving is coming up, and supply isn't staying the same. Supply is getting halved. And like my brother mentioned at the beginning of this interview, there is no other commodity, no other asset on Earth that humans have ever seen where as demand increases, humans can't make more of it. If corn was getting popular, man, we'd invest in those cornfields. If gold was becoming more popular, man, we'd invest in more gold miners. Yeah. You can invest in more Bitcoin miners, but the amount that get mined into existence does not change. So where are we going to top?
Yeah, Aaron, yeah, go ahead.
Did you want to finish, Austin? Where are we going to top?
I would say loosely 12 months after the halving, but I think that we should look at these ETF inflows. We're institutionally driven. They're driving price. Keep an eye on the inflows, which is something Altcoin Daily does literally every day.
Yeah. And let me also jump on your question, David, because you're totally right. Despite the fact, I still think there's way more opportunity this cycle in crypto market at large and altcoins. You're right. People are commenting on our videos. When I see people out in public, and this happens every bull market, they show us their portfolios. They go, hey, I've become a millionaire because of watching your channel. And people have becoming millionaires because of these meme coins, dog with hat, whatever it is. But it's not that uncommon to change your life and make a lot of money in cryptocurrency. However, it's possible, but what's even more common is losing life-changing money in cryptocurrency. And that's people do that all the time. And we've all been there saying, I wish I would have sold when when it was up. I would say just, general best practice. We don't, give financial advice, but if you have made life-changing money, especially in a new coin that has no real utility, you need to lock in profits. Right. And ever since I started doing that, and people I know started doing that, just basic, if you're up 2x, 3x, let alone 5x, 10x, take out your initial investment and then some. That's a way to make sure you never get burned.
One follow-up, and then I want to talk about killer whales. So yeah, taking profits. Give us a bear case. We've talked about bull cases a lot, different utilities. What would stop the music, so to speak, for Bitcoin and altcoins this year, hypothetically speaking?
This is a great question, and I'm glad we're covering this because obviously the reason there's opportunity in crypto is because there's risk. If there was no opportunity, there'd be no risk, and vice versa. Obviously, a black swan effect could ruin Bitcoin. Now, those are small in probability, but always possible. Black swan to me, if there was a double spend problem, i.e. a problem in Bitcoin's code, Now, Bitcoin has been alive for over a decade now. The smartest minds have picked apart this open public code. But again, if something like that happened, that would obviously be detrimental. If Satoshi comes back into existence, and I'm not talking emails, I'm talking about the guy comes on, he moves his coins, he signs his signature to the wallets, and it's verified, I think that would be bad for Bitcoin in the short term. And then just overall, if there was a broader traditional market correction, even though Bitcoin is that hedge, when the housing market collapsed in 07, 08, everything went down, including gold. Even though gold is this hedge, when you suck liquidity out of the market, that brings down everything. Now that just prolongs the growth of an emerging asset like Bitcoin. But those three things obviously would bring crypto down.
Aaron, anything to add?
There's always the low level, but very real threat of World War III breaking out. Could be with Russia, could be with China, could be with North Korea. There's always that possibility. I don't think, I honestly don't think that's a real possibility for the next, say 9 months going into this US election. Presidents, politicians, they like to have things nice and good going into the election. But who knows? Who knows who will be the next president? Who knows how things will go in 2025?
So you don't think Bitcoin's a safe haven then? If World War III breaks out, people won't buy Bitcoin like they'll buy US Treasuries or whatever.
Bitcoin is a safe haven in some ways, but it's very much a nascent asset, part of a nascent asset class, which is still getting adopted. If World War III or something that level breaks out, I would want to be diversified.
Okay. Let's talk about excuse me. Let's talk about killer whales. My audience, probably not everyone is familiar with this new production. You've got a fantastic roster of judges. High level, what is this? Is this like Shark Tank for cryptos or venture startup? Tell us about this show.
Killer Whales is like Shark Tank meets The Voice, meets maybe a little bit of UFC, Ultimate Fighter, as entrepreneurs come on in front of the killer whales and pitch their crypto products. So it is very much like a Shark Tank, where you didn't have to be an entrepreneurial expert or a VC expert back in 2009 to watch the show, get entertained, but also learn about VC investing for the regular Shark Tank back in the day. Same goal today with crypto. Just like friends discuss in their living rooms or with families, hey, this has value, this crypto project is garbage. No, I like it. The same sort of debate goes on between a Rolodex of awesome judges, and we're producers and judges on the show.
Who's the hardest judge on the panel? Who's the Simon Cowell of the bunch?
I would say each judge had their moment. I would say perhaps the Simon Cowell of the bunch might be Mario of Twitter Spaces fame. I was, that's the first time I ever met Mario, showing up on set to record. And at that time, I didn't really know him that much. I just heard like rumors about him. Wasn't sure if he was going to be shady or whatever the deal was. Sure. He was the most like bright-eyed, witted guy that I
curious
and sharp and super smart. And that also comes with just laying into these companies sometimes and really making them answer for themselves. We all, were hard on guests at some point, but maybe Mario was the Simon Cowell of the bunch.
Okay. And Mario and Aaron really get into it on some of the episodes.
Is there like a broad trend of projects that have been pitched to you, like a theme?
Every episode is themed. So we have a gaming episode, we have a security episode where there's wallet security and storage security. So every episode does have a theme. Again, this isn't for the crypto audience. The goal of the show is to make it for the regular audience. So we try and keep the themes very friendly.
Just a tease for the audience. Give us one. Give us like your favorite, or your most, in your eyes, the most promising project, and also the most ridiculous or worst pitch you've gotten.
There's a lot of ridiculous pitches. One project, and I want to remind the audience, this is right now, you can stream it right now on Apple TV, Google Play, and Amazon Prime, as well as Freevee. So go watch it, at least check out one episode. I really like the security episode, where there was actual real examples of products. One was called Wallet Guard, actually saving users money. Because like a big thing, especially as this retail audience comes in, people click a scam link, people lose their funds, and then they're burned for crypto and they don't come back for years when Bitcoin's already 5 times higher. Sure. So I think the security episode to me was actual practical, usable companies that are helping people.
There's a whole range of contestants, some super strong, some, just entrepreneurs trying to make it, and some, in my opinion, a little bit weaker. We filmed this over a year ago, so it's hard to remember the ones that were maybe less memorable. But, there were some projects that, like, we started Altcoin Daily at the very beginning of 2018. And before then, I used to follow the market. And a couple of the projects that pitched to us were actually around in 2017 when I was just like watching things go down. And I was, some of the questions were like, well, since 2018, we have multi-millions on many different platforms. This is what we've done. It doesn't really seem like you've been able to really like do that much versus the 6 years we've been here. And, but that's part of the fun of shows like that. The judges get a real chance to kind of have the conversations that you have at home. That project's crap, or defend yourself.
I think final question for both of you, and we'll end it here. Thank you for your time. The audience would like to know how to pick project, and I think this links to Killer Whales. If you were to evaluate not just the validity of a project, but also just the management team behind that project, which questions would you need to ask or want to ask them to basically verify that they're not scams, they're legitimate, they're not going to rug pull you, these guys actually want to create something of value?
There's so much to talk about on how to evaluate different crypto projects. Are we talking about new projects that are just launching? Are we talking about projects that have sustained since the last bull market? Because there's
let's suppose somebody comes up with a new project, right? Pitches you something, and they don't really have a track record of launching successful tokens. And your first line of thought should be, is this legitimate? Where do you go from there?
Is this legitimate? What have you done before? Have you ever launched a crypto project or worked at a crypto company? If not, what have you done? How have you grown other businesses? Tell me about the audits on your blockchains. Like, have you been audited? What type of audits are there? What have your users been telling you? Like, what feedback do you get from the users? What are your tokenomics like in general, as far as if I want to like buy into it or not? If the tokenomics are just like basically flowing out and getting sold on the open market, there's really no kind of value capture there. It could be a good company, but as far as buying the token, I wouldn't want to. Those are some things. Austin, what do you think?
Security audits, huge. That's a big one. Other metrics we use to evaluate: use case, community, business model. Examples of those would be, even if you have a great product, are your socials or your discords, are they barren? Well, there's not really a community, and not that that's a deal breaker, but I'm looking for the full package. Have you managed to galvanize people to actually care? Use case doesn't need a blockchain. Some things don't. Some people are just trying to capitalize on the blockchain name. And then business model, to me, that means tokenomics. If you have huge inflation in the first year, no matter how good the product is, damn, this token might not do well. So there's like a list of 5 criteria we use on the show. And that's where the debate happens. Right. Just because I like something, Aaron may disagree.
Perfect. Where can we follow your work besides Killer Whales?
Altcoin Daily on YouTube, Altcoin Daily IO on Twitter. David's the man. I'm sure I'll link those down below. But you can really catch us back on David's show, maybe in a couple months. And I hope everybody watching from Altcoin Daily, give David a subscribe, tune in. He puts out great content.
Appreciate it. Yeah, be great to have you guys on for an update. I feel like this year is going to be like a huge year for not just cryptos, but all markets. I mean, I was talking to another guest. A lot of people are taking 2024 for granted. I mean, all-time highs for Bitcoin and a lot of altcoins, actually, for that matter. All-time high for gold, all-time high for the stock markets. Fed's about to pivot. Yeah, this is a historical year, so lots to talk about later in the year. So
with the Fed cutting rates potentially later in the year. So
yeah,
wild.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's Fed pivoting. Yeah, so fantastic having you guys share your thoughts. Thank you for giving us an hour of your time. Watch Altcoin Daily, and thank you for being here. We'll speak again next time.
Thank you. Like and subscribe.